Hello, my name is Audrey Galloway, and I'm the Manager of Outreach and Advocacy with AARP North Carolina. Caring for a loved one isn't always easy, but in this session, we're going to introduce some of the essential information caregivers need to more easily manage some of the complex responsibilities of caregiving. It's our hope that it will be educational and informative, and that at the conclusion of the day, you will have more confidence in making your own plans, as well as a better understanding of how to plan for your care recipient. Please keep in mind that this presentation is intended to provide general guidance, not specific legal or financial advice. Individual circumstances may differ and should be taken into consideration before acting. I am not a financial expert and I cannot provide specific advice or recommendations, but hopefully the information we cover today will help you make informed decisions about your financial future. Be sure to consult a professional for advice regarding your personal situation. Before we get started, I also want to point out to you some important resources. AARP has a Caregiving Resource Center and Family Caregiver Support Line in both English and Spanish to help you with tips, tools, and resources on your caregiving journey. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Our Prepare to Care Guide is available online as well. It's another resource you can use as you approach becoming a caregiver. It comes in several different versions because each caregiving journey for you and your loved one is unique. If you are interested, you are welcome to join AARP's Family Caregivers Discussion Group on Facebook to get support during your family caregiving journey. You don't need to be an AARP member to join the group. For additional information about caregiving resources in your area, visit aarp.org/caregiver resources. Now let's get started. Being a caregiver is a labor of love that comes with a lot of responsibilities. While it's hard to put a price on caring, it also comes with some real out-of-pocket cost for you. You may be picking up groceries, helping with housework, or making trips to the doctor or pharmacy. All the little things add up. Having a clear picture of what's involved, whether it's your care recipient's health, housing, or finances, lets you plan ahead and make the juggling act a little easier. That's why AARP has developed the financial workbook for family caregivers, which is available free online and for download at www.aarp.org/caregivermoney. We hope that these tools will help you feel prepared to minimize the stress that making financial decisions can cause. And note, we'll use the terms care recipient and loved one interchangeably throughout the presentation because, of course, both terms accurately describe the loved one you're providing care for. In addition, we'll also talk about how to incorporate practical financial tips into your caregiving. Let's begin by looking at numbers and cost. Family caregivers are thought of as an invisible army, but without adequate support, they remain vulnerable to financial and job-related hardships as well as emotional stress. And there are quite a few out-of-pocket costs associated with family caregiver. Did you know that in 2021, family caregivers spent on average $7,242 on caregiving expenses, such as transportation and home modifications? In 2017, 34 billion hours were spent on unpaid caregivers. That's right. According to AARP's report, Caregiving in the U.S., an estimated 48 million family caregivers in the United States provided 34 billion hours of unpaid care to adult loved ones in 2017. So what was all that money spent on? More than 3 out of 4 caregivers incurred some or all of these out-of-pocket costs. Household expenses, recreation and legal, caregiver personal expenses such as respite and travel, and recipient personal care expenses. Oh, and let's not forget medical expenses. Why did family caregivers incur these expenses? Love, yes, but also because professional home care costs more. In 2018, Genworth, a company that sells long-term care insurance, estimated the average monthly cost for homemaker services, things like light housekeeping, meal preparation, and running errands, at more than $4,000. The cost for a home health aide, someone with medical training who can assist with bathing or other more personal needs, were about $200 more a month, adding up to more than $50,000 a year. So, strictly from a financial perspective, it's more cost-effective to provide care for a loved one yourself rather than hiring a professional. And those costs do have significant consequences. Many dip into their own retirement savings to help pay caregiving costs. About 1 in 10 have taken from their own retirement savings. And 1 in 5 have reduced the amount they are saving for retirement. Many, nearly 1 in 5, spend less on their own health care in order to pay these costs. More than a third cut back on personal spending to get the extra money they need to pay for a loved one's care. And about 1 in 10 have taken out a loan. About 3 in 5 caregivers, almost 24 million people, have a paying job in addition to their caregiving responsibilities. But more than half of family caregivers have to take time off from their main job, reduce hours at work, or even quit their jobs altogether to accommodate their responsibilities. This can mean diminished chances for promotions, less job security, fewer employment benefits, reduced money set aside for their own retirements, and lower Social Security benefits for themselves when the time comes. More than a third cut back on personal spending to get the extra money they need to pay for a loved one's care. In other words, caregiving costs. So what can you do to safeguard your future and finances? Simply put, plan. For both you and your care recipient, plan for the unexpected, plan your budget, plan your end-of-life wishes, and plan your future. A few points to highlight here. First, the cost of caregiving is high. Most families can spend close to $8,000 per year caring for a loved one. Second, every caregiving journey is unique. There is no one-size-fits-all. Your journey is yours. There are no right answers, just your answers. This presentation will simply hit the highlights in hopes of helping you. Finally, this is obviously a sensitive subject, but we all know that caregiving can be very stressful, especially over long periods of time. Remember, it's just as important to take care of yourself, both your physical and mental health, as it is to look after your loved one. So please, do that for yourself, for the person that you're caring for, and for all the people that care about you. Today, we'll provide a few financial tips to better help you plan in the areas of health, money, and future. And remember, personal finance is called personal for a reason. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. This presentation is designed to help you prepare your caregiver financial life in more specific detail and help you develop a key resource to equip someone to step in to assist your care recipient in the event of your absence. Also, we strongly suggest you seek assistance from professionals. For example, once you complete your power of attorney, will, and burial plans, you should seek the guidance of an attorney. Or once you list your debts out, perhaps you should seek an accredited financial counselor to help you create a debt management plan. This presentation is designed to help you through this process, not to replace trusted professional advice. First up, let's walk through the health section of the guide where you begin documenting plans for the health care of your loved one. We'll cover a wide range of topics, including health care and death. These topics can be very difficult to discuss, but it is vital to make the right plans for yourself and those you provide care for. Let's start with your health care plan. You'll want to answer some very important questions about the care your loved one receives. First, who does your care recipient receive care from? Do they use Medicare? If they're a veteran, what about the VA? And what about private insurance? There are so many possibilities for healthcare coverage. Make sure you take the time to understand not only who the insurer is, but learn about their caps, copays, deductibles, and perhaps most importantly, coverage. In the guide, you can create a healthcare plan by listing health issues, medications, and accommodations. The healthcare plan can be extremely helpful at any and all doctor appointments and hospital visits. In the healthcare plan, you should know important information about your care recipient's healthcare, including any ongoing issues or conditions. This is also a chance to make a list of current medications they use or accommodations they need to access care. Be sure to update this list regularly so you have it to refer to should the need arise. In addition, the plan should include emergency contacts. Emergency contacts are a must for any caregiver. Who can step in for you with little notice? Hopefully you have more than one person who can jump in. Next, think about what other details you need to add to help medical staff with your care recipient. Does your care recipient have allergies that the medical staff need to be aware of? Do they have difficulty hearing or seeing? Do they live with memory loss or dementia? Whatever health-related details you can provide will help further the care of your care recipient. As a caregiver, oftentimes you may feel alone, but you're not. Make caregiving a team sport. Create a list of contact information for all the important healthcare providers your care recipient uses. Even though you might not need all of these every day, it is helpful to have them all in one place when you need them. Be sure to keep this list updated as providers change. Your care recipient's care team should know that you and should consider you, the caregiver, as one of the most valuable team players. Caregivers can provide medical professionals with crucial information that can make a big difference in treatment. And caregivers can often provide details that the care recipient forgot or perhaps didn't notice. In the guide, you can document all necessary contact information, such as names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and websites. You might also want to check if your state or the state where your loved one resides and gets medical care has passed a version of the CARE Act. The CARE Act makes sure caregivers are recognized when their loved ones go into the hospital, are notified when the patient will be released, and are given the instructions they need for continued care before their loved one returns home. Now let's think about other members of your healthcare team. Do health aides visit your home? Do you have a secondary caregiver that steps in for you so you can take a break or simply run to the grocery store? Who can step in with short notice? Are you a member of a church or community-based club? Could a member of one of those organizations assist you? Do you have someone to chat with from time to time about the stresses of being a caregiver? You can list any and all of these people in the guide. In addition to home-based support and assistance, I would like to mention two things that can really help you when you do need to take a break. First, respite care is a short break from regular caregiving duties. As we've said, caring for a loved one is stressful, and it can have real consequences on the physical and mental health of the caregiver. A 2015 National Caregiving Survey by AARP found that 85% of caregivers said they would find respite helpful. Sadly, access to respite is limited by location, income, and the health condition of your loved ones. Second, adult daycare programs can provide caregivers with a needed break, while giving older adults a chance to socialize with their peers and remedy the isolation and loneliness many experience. The programs they provide and the costs associated with them can vary, but your local area agency on aging can help you with information. Now let's talk about a power of attorney, or POA. A POA is a signed document in which a person appoints someone else to act on his or her behalf if they are not able to make decisions or sign for something on their own. Most people put POAs in place in case of medical reasons, but POAs can be used to make financial decisions as well. Your care recipient may choose you or another person they trust for power of attorney. This is a good time for a conversation about who is best suited to handle financial and or medical decisions, as sometimes different people will serve different roles. As a caregiver, this is also a good time to create POAs for yourself, especially if you will serve as one for your care recipient. Powers of attorney are sometimes limited to a particular purpose or period. Other times they're general, and state laws on POAs do vary. So know what the law is wherever you and your care recipient reside. You should seek out a legal professional to help you complete POAs. POAs must be notarized in order for them to be binding. Note that many financial institutions and medical treatment facilities require their own POAs. You should also know that generalized POAs are not as widely accepted as they have been in the past. It is at the discretion of every financial or medical institution or even a business to determine what POA they will accept when you are doing business with them. You can have a different POAs for different financial or healthcare issues. You can also name multiple people to act for you in POAs. While many people have one or two others they grant power of attorney to, you can choose to give a POA to whomever you wish, as long as the POAs do not conflict with each other. If they do, the person or service requesting the POA will use the most recent POA. Where you keep your POA is also vital. We suggest you keep the original somewhere that it can be protected from fire, theft, flood, or other damage. You should also give a copy of the POA to the person you are designated and encourage them to put their copy in a safe place. Some people acquire safe deposit boxes from their bank just for their POAs and other valuable documents. This is entirely up to you. If your only copy is in the safe deposit box, make sure your designee knows that and can access the POA when needed. Now, let's talk about wills and estate planning. Thinking about or discussing wills and estate planning can produce strong emotions, but it's very important to make sure you take your time to put your wishes in writing. If using the guide, those pages can become your voice after your passing. The people reading those pages will be grieving your loss, but the information you provide can actually help them with their grief. If you take the time to list out what you want to happen, it takes the guesswork out for them. It can greatly reduce their stress and grief levels during a very difficult time. Here are some things you should consider. Who should you choose to oversee your estate? Do you need an attorney? What assets do you have that need to be included? Who will be financially impacted by your death? And where should you keep your will? You might be thinking to yourself that you don't have an estate. However, each one of us has an estate. You might just have a few bank accounts, a pet, some material goods. But guess what? Once you pass, someone has to settle all of those things for you. Take the time and help them know what you want them to do. If you have minor children, you will definitely want to complete the will and/or estate process as soon as possible. It is important to note that these pages of the guide are not binding. While some courts might take into consideration your wishes upon being presented with these completed pages, it is in the best interest of those you leave behind to have an official will and/or estate plan upon your passing. So, consult with a legal professional. Now we're going to touch on a difficult yet necessary topic, end-of-life plans. Because you are responsible for caring for someone else, it's important to have plans in place in case the need arises, and it's important to make sure your final wishes are known and documented. This will likely be a tumultuous time for your loved ones, and providing an interment plan will help ensure your wishes are carried out. And it will spare them from making those difficult decisions. Things to consider include burial or cremation, location for burial ashes, memorial or funeral services, costs associated with various services, and life insurance. To ensure your end-of-life plans will be carried out, visit with a funeral home or let your attorney know. They can suggest additional resources to help you complete this process. But know that end-of-life costs are the most important parts to consider when deciding your burial plans. Do you have enough in savings to cover your cost? If not, do you have enough life insurance to cover the cost? Ultimately, you do not want to leave the expenses to your loved ones. Therefore, plan ahead so they can focus on grieving and settling your affairs. One of the most important responsibilities as a caregiver is planning and managing money, both your own and your care recipients. Though difficult, discussing money doesn't have to be stressful. By taking the time to make your dollars work for you and your care recipient, you can create a peace of mind that will help make your time at home more enjoyable. So let's touch on budgets and debts. First, budgets. It's vital that you give every dollar in your home a name. Tracking your dollars actually enables you to control your money. Therefore, creating a monthly budget is crucial. Take the time to list your expenses out individually on a separate piece of paper. There's not one way of budgeting that works for everyone. You might be like me and like using pen and paper. Someone else might like the app they have on their phone. You could also set up a spreadsheet, or you could use one of the many budgeting websites that are available. The point of all of this is to achieve a zero-based budget. This means you have $0 left after you assign every dollar taken in to an expense going out. This budget should accurately reflect your situation. Just make sure you get to zero. AARP offers a free online tool to help you set up your budget using the AARP Home Budget Calculator at aarp.org/home budget calculator. In addition to a monthly budget, you should create a caregiving budget because we realize that there are specific expenses related to caregiving. While you may receive a disability, long-term care insurance, or other income that you use for caregiving, we also know that it may not go far enough. Because some expenses are predictable and some vary, putting pen to paper can help you sketch out the associated costs and better plan for the future. Caregivers spend thousands of dollars per year caring for others. Take the time to list out your caregiving expenses separately from the budget you've put together for your personal finances. Remember, unless your care recipient is your spouse and you've done a combined budget, this budget is different than the one you filled out for yourself. Apply the same thoughts from your budget to your care recipient's budget. If at all possible, the care recipient needs to be involved in the budgeting process. Now let's touch on a subject that may be uncomfortable: debt. It is important that you begin organizing your debts to create a get-out-of-debt action plan. Being in debt is not a bad thing. Most Americans must make payments for a house, a car, student loans, and credit cards. The problem isn't the debt, it's the interest rates. The original debt you started out with can easily double or triple if you're not careful. Being debt-free can offer you some additional financial freedom and peace. There are numerous ways to eliminate your debt. Most financial experts recommend organizing your debts from smallest to greatest balance. You can pay the minimum payments on the bigger debts and take your available dollars to eliminate your smallest debts. As you knock out the smaller debts, you will feel empowered to attack the next smallest. Sometimes we need professional assistance with organizing our debts. Your bank may have someone who can assist you, or you can search for an accredited financial counselor, also known as an AFC, in your area. Finally, let's turn to something that's important to you, the loved one you care for, and everyone in your family: the future. None of us have a crystal ball that can tell us what the future holds. Nevertheless, we can still plan for it. What does your future look like, and what are your goals? Do you want to switch jobs or return to school? Do you need additional education to achieve your goals? Do you have a retirement plan? Do you need to save money for retirement? How might your caregiving responsibilities affect your plans? And this is not one we like to think about, but should be considered. If the person you are caring for passes, how will it affect you? Or if you, as a caregiver, were to pass or step away from your role, who else will step in? What plans can you help put in place? It's important for you to thoughtfully consider all of these questions and to speak with your care recipient about what they want for their future as well. You will want to make sure you have all of the right information in order to evaluate your options. Therefore, as I've said before, consult trusted resources, because planning for the future is just as important as planning for today. In closing, as a reminder, the topics touched on here are explained in further detail in AARP's financial workbook for family caregivers. If you'd like to get a copy of the workbook, or you would like to share it with a friend, it is available online in a PDF version that's easy to download, and you can fill it in right there on the screen if you'd like before you download it. Again, the website for the workbook is www.aarp.org/caregivermoney. In summary, caregivers have a lot of responsibility, and one of the keys to managing that responsibility is planning. AARP is here to help navigate that journey through the provisions of planning tools and other resources. I hope you found the presentation useful and garnered some information you can use. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for the care, concern, and love you provide as family caregiver. We are here to support you as you support another.